Hello and welcome to NDTV 24/7. I'm Rohit Wellington. Let's begin with our top story. The Uttar Pradesh government was told off by the Supreme Court for trying to recover money for property damage during the 2019 Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act protests from those identified as protesters. The court said that it is giving one final opportunity to the state to withdraw the proceedings or it will quash it for being in violation of the law. The court said you have to follow the due process under the law. Please examine this. We are giving one opportunity till the 18th of February. The Uttar Pradesh government has acted like a complainant, adjudicator and prosecutor in conducting the proceedings to attach the properties of the accused, said a bench of Justices D.Y. Chandrachud and Suryakant. The body of a 22-year-old woman belonging to scheduled caste who went missing 2 months ago from Uttar Pradesh's Unnao has been found in a pit near an ashram constructed by a Samajwadi Party leader Fateh Bahadur Singh, who died 4 years ago. The grisly find could not have come at a worse time for Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav, who is facing attacks from the BJP in the middle of the UP election. The woman's family initially refused to cremate her for hours, demanding swift punishment action against the Samajwadi politician's son, who is the main suspect and under arrest. They later agreed to carry out the last rites after the administration's assurances. The young woman's decomposing body was dug out from an empty piece of land near the ashram in the name of Fateh Bahadur Singh, who was a minister in the Samajwadi Party government of Akhilesh Yadav in 2012 to 2017.
8 दिसंबर को एक युवती की गुमशुदगी की सूचना थाना कोतवाली में प्राप्त हुई थी, जिसके आधार पर गुमशुदगी दर्ज किया गया और उसके बाद में फिर एफआईआर में तरमीम करके जो संदेही व्यक्ति था उसको गिरफ्तार करके जांच की जा रही थी। उसी जांच के क्रम में आज ये डेड बॉडी यहाँ से प्राप्त हुई है। इस डेड बॉडी का हम पोस्टमार्टम करा करके आगे जो भी कारण रहे हैं उसकी जांच करेंगे और इसमें जो भी व्यक्ति शामिल हैं उनके विरुद्ध कठोर कार्रवाई सुसंगत धाराओं में की जाएगी।
उन्नाव में जो दलित बेटी के साथ हुआ वो दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। निर्मम हत्या बहुत ही दुखद और दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। इसमें सपा के नेता की संलिप्तता उनका असली चाल, चरित्र और चेहरा समाजवादी पार्टी का उजागर करती है। इस घटना में चाहे कितने भी बड़े नाम सामने क्यों ना आए, दोषियों को बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। उन पर सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
जिनके बारे में कहा जा रहा है कि वो समाजवादी पार्टी में हैं, वो 4 साल पहले उनका देहांत हो चुका था। आखिरकार पुलिस ये बताए, जब तहरीर दी गई थी, आखिरकार इतने दिन कैसे लगे पुलिस को ढूंढने में? पुलिस सख्त से सख्त कार्रवाई पहले भी कर सकती थी। ये पुलिस की और प्रशासन की खुली छूट थी, जिसकी वजह से कार्रवाई नहीं हुई है। हम परिवार के साथ हैं और परिवार की जो मांगे हैं वो मांगी जाए। बेटी की जो माँ है, जो मांग रख रही है, उनको पूरा किया जाए।
Union Minister Ajay Mishra Teni smiled to the cameras and said nothing when he was asked about a court granting bail to his son Ashish Mishra, who is accused in the case of killing of farmers in Uttar Pradesh's Lakhimpur Khiri last year. Ajay Mishra is in Lakhimpur, from where he is MP, and started his campaign for the BJP.
बहुत लोग ये कह रहे हैं विपक्ष की, भाई ये जो आपके बेटे को बेल मिली है इम्प्रॉपर है, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे? चलो बनाइए भैया, कराइए।
India's Junior Minister for Home, Ajay Mishra, campaigning in his parliamentary constituency Lakhimpur, his first for the BJP this election. Just 24 hours after his murder-accused son got bail from the Allahabad High Court. BJP sources say, with his son accused of this horrific murder of 4 farmers and a journalist last October getting bail, Ajay Mishra's political heft in Lakhimpur, an area bordering Nepal, outweighs his liabilities to the party.
जिनके पास जीवन जीने की सामान्य सुविधाओं की कमी थी, उन कमियों को हमने पूरा किया है। मोदी जी जैसा प्रधानमंत्री, अमित शाह जी जैसा हमारे पास नेतृत्व और उसके साथ साथ सरकार चलाने की अद्भुत क्षमता माननीय योगी आदित्यनाथ जी और उनके मंत्रिमंडल में है।
In 2017, the BJP won all 8 assembly seats in Lakhimpur in a campaign led by Mishra, a Brahmin face, who is a strongman and among the BJP's most influential UP leaders. Well, so an unfazed Ajay Mishra Teni campaigning for the BJP across Lakhimpur, his parliamentary constituency. Multiple questions have been raised by the opposition about the propriety of his son Ashish Mishra, a murder accused, making bail in 4 months, but he's refused to take those questions. We have tried multiple times to speak with him, but he refuses to answer. And you can see that he at the moment is exiting this place, and we are going to try him once again. We are going to try him once again and see if he is willing to speak. अजय जी, ये बताइए, अजय जी एक सवाल, अजय जी एक सवाल, एक बार तो बात करिए. So you can see that Ajay Mishra Teni here refusing to take any questions.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की गवर्नमेंट थी, चाहते तो एक चुटकी में माननीय अजय मिश्रा टेनी जी अपने लड़के को बचा सकते थे,
क्योंकि अजय मिश्रा टेनी जो है ये एक केंद्रीय गृह राज्य मंत्री भी हैं और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के एक सीनियर लीडर भी हैं. ठीक है, इसीलिए उनको ये विपक्ष टारगेट कर रहा है.
जिस तरीके से केंद्र सरकार अभी भी गृह मंत्री को अजय मिश्रा टेनी जी को सरकार में रोके हुए है, वो कहीं ना कहीं किसानों को चिढ़ाने वाला काम हो रहा है और ये दूरी लगातार बढ़ती जा रही है.
Ashish Mishra has not yet been released from prison. A technical glitch in his bail order, no mention of the murder and conspiracy charges against him, means his release may be delayed. But farmer leaders and the opposition have questioned why he was given bail. Sources in the UP police claim their 5,000-page charge sheet against Mishra and other accused place him at the spot on the day of the incident using multiple eyewitness accounts, CCTV footage and photographs. SIT sources say their investigation established that a rifle seized from Ashish Mishra was fired, a key allegation in the FIR. But the High Court has rejected the police case. In its bail order, the court accepts that multiple eyewitnesses claim to have seen Ashish Mishra firing from the Thar SUV, but says none of the victims have gunshot wounds. The court also says with thousands of protesters in the area on the day, and I quote, there might be a possibility that the driver tried to speed up the vehicle to save himself, on account of which the incident had taken place, unquote.
ऐसी कोई एविडेंस इस पूरी केस डायरी में नहीं है जो ये साबित कर रही हो कि आशीष मिश्र मोनू घटना वाले दिन 3 बजे घटना स्थल पर थे.
अभी जमानत क्यों छूटना इतना जल्दी उनको नहीं, आसान की छूट जाएंगे वो. अभी उसमें बहस की जाएगी. हम लोग सुप्रीम कोर्ट जाने की विचार कर रहे हैं. वो कातिल हमारा है मोनू, वो छूट जाएगा. वो कैसे छूट जाएगा? जो हमारे किसान बंद हैं 5, अभी उनका तो कुछ हुआ नहीं है. अभी किसान बंद है, वो कातिल पहले छूट जाएगा.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी का
Lakhimpur votes on February 23rd, and now the bail for his murder-accused son appears to have made it acceptable for Ajay Mishra Teni to start campaigning. With Prateek Srivastav and Rajesh Gupta, this is Alok Pandey, NDTV.
Criticism for her latest budget not doing enough for the poor, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Friday mocked Congress leader Rahul Gandhi's 2013 comment of poverty being a state of mind. Arvind Gunasekar has this report.
Thank you very much, sir.
The Finance Minister replied today in the budget debate on the last day of the session, with a break now for elections till it reconvenes on 14th of March.
Sir, we went in for a budget which would stand for continuity, which will be bringing in stability to the economy and predictability in taxation, and also a vision for India at 100.
Stating that India is projected to be the fastest growing economy in the coming years, the Finance Minister also credited her government for keeping inflation under check. In response to Rahul Gandhi's strong attack on the government's economic policies, Ms. Sitharaman hit back at the Congress party and the Gandhis.
If we do not have a vision for India at 100, sir, we will suffer similarly as was the first 70 years when 65 years were with the Congress, which had no vision except for supporting, building and benefiting one family. Your former president said, poverty does not mean, and I'm quoting here, sir, poverty does not mean the scarcity of food, money or material things. If one possesses self-confidence, then one can overcome it, said the Congress leader. So he also said it's a state of mind.
बिल्कुल रिलेवेंस जो बात थी लोगों के लिए वो बातें रखी, उसका जवाब इनके पास नहीं था। तो बौखलाहट में जिसका कोई रिलेवेंस नहीं है ऐसी बातें यहाँ करते हैं, ये दिखाई देता है कि ये राहुल गांधी जी से कितने डर गए हैं।
The second part of the budget session will begin on March 14th after 5 state assembly elections. The results of these elections will also have a huge impact on parliament proceedings. With camera person Azam Siddiqui, this is Arvind Gunasekar for NDTV.
So all this on a day when IIP declined to a 10-month low. The December industrial production was at 0.4% versus 1.3% in November. Manufacturing, the biggest component, contracted minus 0.1%. Growing tensions between Mamata Banerjee's Trinamool and the political strategist Prashant Kishore's political outfit IPAC has prompted the West Bengal Chief Minister to call a meeting of the party's top leaders on Saturday. The meeting comes amidst rising resentment within the Trinamool Congress against IPAC and reports of a rift between Ms. Banerjee and her nephew Abhishek. Saurav Gupta has more.
Well, yes, the big news is that Mamata Banerjee, the Chief Minister of West Bengal, also the chairperson of the Trinamool Congress, is holding a meeting with her top party leadership at her residence on Saturday at 5 p.m. Now, this, of course, is in the backdrop of the rather public disagreements between the political consultancy headed by Prashant Kishore, which is the IPAC, and, of course, the Trinamool Congress, which, of course, is led by Mamata Banerjee. But a key player in the Trinamool Congress is also her nephew, Abhishek Banerjee, who is considered to be close to Prashant Kishore. Now, this, of course, is Mamata Banerjee's residence where that meeting will take place. The background to this is, of course, the allegation by a senior minister saying that her social media handle was used, allegedly by IPAC, to endorse a campaign that seems to have been pushed by Abhishek Banerjee, who is Mamata Banerjee's nephew, seen as the heir apparent of the party, which is, of course, the one-man, one-post campaign. But Abhishek Banerjee, of course, has clarified that this was something that was adopted in the presence of Mamata Banerjee. Party insiders say that there is, of course, disagreements on certain issues, but there cannot be a space or a time where Mamata Banerjee and Abhishek Banerjee are completely at loggerheads, where Abhishek Banerjee crosses what Mamata Banerjee says. So that, of course, is not happening. But clearly there is a disagreement on which way the party will go, especially with the public, disagreement between IPAC, which is, of course, considered to have been brought in by Abhishek Banerjee mainly to steer the party through the assembly elections, which it won magnificently, but also beyond that to grow the party in other states. And, of course, one example of that is currently the involvement of the IPAC in Goa, which goes to polls on February 14, where the Trinamool is campaigning aggressively and putting up a fight to looking to expand in states beyond Bengal. So that is, of course, one area. But clearly this particular issue of one man, one post, which seems to have been endorsed by several Twitter handles, something that has not gone down with the old guard in the party. And now, of course, very public disagreements, and Mamata Banerjee is holding that meeting at her residence on Saturday to iron out the issues. And is this the end of the partnership between Prashant Kishore's political consultancy IPAC and the Trinamool Congress? Well, final word on that may be known tomorrow on Saturday.
For families who had spent up to 2 crore rupees on flats in a luxury condo in Gurgaon, a nightmare as a part of the structure caved in. Residents say their complaints of structural weakness in the building were ignored. Meher Pandey has this report.
A dream home in Gurgaon turned nightmare for the residents of Chintal's Paradiso in Sector 109. Repairs to the floor of the 6th floor flat caused a chunk of it to crash through the floors below it, all the way to the 1st floor. 40-year-old Ekta Bhardwaj died in her home on the 2nd floor. Residents remember her as a warm person. Arun Srivastav, a railway services bureaucrat, was trapped in the rubble for over 16 hours. His leg trapped under a collapsed wall. His wife Sunita Srivastav has still not been found almost 24 hours after the incident. Their beautifully decorated balcony a reminder of all that is now lost. Other residents are traumatized.
जो बच्चे ट्रोमाज में हैं उनका क्या करें? मेरी खुद की डॉटर ट्रोमा में इस टाइम पे, वो रात से रो रही है क्योंकि उसका खुद का ब्रदर 10 साल का है, वो ऊपर था तो वो पैनिक थी पूरी नाइट, मतलब वो एक दूसरे को गले लग के सिर्फ रोए जा रहे हैं, हम उनको कैसे संभालें अभी समझ नहीं आ रहा है.
Exactly a year back, same plaster has fallen down in H Tower, where we all have came here in the night and we were here till 2 o'clock and we wanted to put an FIR. At that time they did not put the FIR. The reason is they state koi mara to nahi hai na abhi. The safety is a concern from last 4 years. We have been repeatedly telling them, but they are not doing it.
Chintals Paradiso sent a message to residents that read that a mishap occurred during renovation work in one apartment, that they had conducted a structural audit last year and will compensate affected buyers, and that they are cooperating with the authorities. Ekta Bharadwaj's husband filed an FIR against the builders last night for causing death by negligence. The residents want to file a second FIR as collective complainants with a stronger non-bailable charge of culpable homicide, not amounting to murder.
आपके राइट में है सर, आप मेरी बात का जवाब दीजिए. आपके राइट में है FIR लिखना या नहीं? सर है या नहीं? सर है, क्योंकि आप क्या हर FIR पूछ के करते हैं? क्या हर FIR?
So far, the second FIR has not been lodged.
The Chintals Paradiso builders have not been reachable by phone all day, but the residents who've lost their lives, who've been rendered homeless, and who now don't feel safe in their own homes need some accountability. With Poojarya, Meher Pandey for NDTV.
Joining us now is cricket expert Anis Sarjan. Thanks very much, sir, for joining us. Man of the match for Shreyas Iyer. He must be feeling vindicated. It was not bad form, but illness put him out of the team.
Oh, yes, and putting up a score when the chips are down always is good. And with the IPL auction coming and he being in demand for being tipped as the captain for maybe not one but 3-4 franchise team, yes. His confidence as well as the franchise confidence must be high. And we got to wait and watch what's going to happen tomorrow. But yes, great innings by Shreyas Iyer.
And there's a great competition for each slot in Team India. Can Shreyas get to bat at number 4 once KL Rahul is back?
Well, you know what, 4 or 5, to be very honest, in an ODI, it's not a big difference.
Right.
4 and 5 is not a big difference when you are playing in an ODI. But of course, with KL Rahul, generally is more of a finisher. So I think KL Rahul will bat after Shreyas Iyer. So I don't see that as a problem for India. If Surya Kumar Yadav, if he's also playing in the squad, then we will have 4, 5, 6.
Right. Would you say that some of the youngsters have auditioned well for the IPL big buys tomorrow and day after?
Very much. As I mentioned about Shreyas Iyer, or we talk about, the other youngsters, Prasidh, Krishna and all,
yes.
They have all done well. In fact, in this whole series, even though we have played against a team like West Indies who have lost to Ireland, but we have to give credit that the top order did not perform and the middle order performed. And the bowlers, as I mentioned in my last show, were inexperienced. They still made sure that they bowled West Indies out for 43 overs, 37 overs and 46 overs, which showed that they have made a name for themselves and a lot of IPL franchises will be going after them.
Right. We also have former cricketer Ashok Malhotra joining us. Thanks, sir, for joining us. We were talking about the IPL big buys. Shreyas Iyer has a base price of 2 crores. So you feel Prasidh Krishna is one player on whom big money will be showered?
Definitely. Prasidh Krishna will definitely be there. Shardul Thakur will be there. Deepak Chahar will be there. There are a whole lot of them. Yajuvendra Chahal will be there. So,
yes.
So there are a number of cricketers who will be, will get bid for a big price. So definitely Shah Rukh Khan is another one who will be there. So definitely number of cricketers. Ishan Kishan is another one which comes to mind. So there's going to be a big war for these people, because most of the teams, if you look at them, except for they've got a lot of money to spend, and they have a lot of people to bid for,
yes.
And not to forget foreigners as well.
And what do you think of West Indies' Orion Smith? and the massive strokes to the fence, will he be an attractive buy?
Definitely so. Probably he'll go for big money because he reminds me a lot of Andrew Russell. He seems to be I wouldn't say poor man's Andrew Russell, but definitely, he's a new Andrew Russell, and he might go for a lot of money.
Right, Mr. Sargent, let me come back to you. Talking about the series, Rohit Sharma's maiden win as ODI captain, it must be pretty special to him, but except in the first ODI, his bat failed to talk.
Yes, first it must be special. First ODI series as captain, full-time captain rather, and winning 3-0, and India's first maiden whitewash against West Indies, so special.
Yes.
But as batting, as I mentioned, apart from the first knock where he scored a 60-odd, he failed too. So did the other players in the top three. But I would not look much into it because the wickets had a lot in this series. There was a lot of spice. But having said that, we can't do these mistakes again, bigger teams, if we have to win those matches.
Right, Mr. Malhotra, one final question to you. Would you say that the middle order bailed out the top order?
Definitely, that has been a good news. The top order failed. The guys who had probably scored 1,000 runs. There is a 72 between Rohit and Virat at the middle order. The way Shreyas Iyer showed that it was a mistake on leaving him out in the South African tour. And not to forget the late order, not the middle order. The late order too, somebody like Deepak Chahar, he chipped in, Washington Sundar chipped in. And all in all, I think we are in a very healthy state. The Indian cricket is a very healthy state. The bench strength is overloaded. Time for the management to give them the chances.
Right. All right, Mr. Ashok Malhotra and Mr. Anish Sargent, thanks very much for joining us. That's it on Turning Point. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.